So let's now just remind people of what's happened recently. There's a lot of accusations being thrown around about stoking political violence or whatever. Again, 1,000 times it's been said, unacceptable. 1,000 more times it will be said. I just want to remind people of some of what has been said. So Mark Robinson, I think we reported this like a week or two ago, said some folks need killing. Now look, he in part of that conversation was talking about World War II, and in parts of it he was talking about modern politics. I'll leave it to each individual to figure out which he was talking about in which moment. Carrie Lake suggested that supporters should strap on a Glock to be ready for 2024. This is probably like a shooting competition. She's probably not talking about the election. Representative Paul Gosar, of course, was censured over an anime video depicting him beheading AOC. Clay Higgins mocked the hospitalized husband of Nancy Pelosi in a deleted tweet after the attack. We'll be returning to that one specifically in just a little bit. Also want to remind people, Trump compared his political opponents to vermin who he will root out. You don't root them out by sending them to a farm upstate, you kill them, okay? You exterminate them, that's what you do. Trump also posted a video that was shared on Truth Social of Joe Biden hog-tied in the back of a truck. Trump praised the Montana Republican who literally physically assaulted a reporter and body slammed him. He said that was awesome. It was a politician who did that. When the looting starts, the shooting starts, Trump tweet flagged by Twitter for glorifying violence, implying that if someone is looting a place, then you are okay in shooting them, which should be unacceptable, but that's what people said.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
Remember also when a bunch of Trump flag waving trucks tried to run VP Harris's convoy off the road in Texas, he shared that because he thought it was awesome. So if it's unacceptable to raise the temperature of the political rhetoric, I think we know where the most important person that's doing it is. And it's the guy who was, again, unacceptably targeted by that sort of violence. Here's another montage of more of these calls.
Second term kicks off with firing Wray, firing Fauci. Now, I actually want to go a step farther, but I realize the president is a kind-hearted man and a good man. I'd actually like to go back to the old times of Tudor England. I'd put the heads on pikes, right? I'd put them at the two corners of the White House as a warning.
Probably not the best time to give up your AR-15, and I think most people know that.
No, I'm telling you, if Pence cave, we're gonna drag mother through the streets. You politicians are gonna get drugged through the streets. Yeah.
And I mean, we could go on and on. We've covered a lot of it in the past, but Francesca, what do you think?
Yeah, you don't even have footage of the Unite the Right rally. Heather Heyer was murdered. She was murdered that day, right? For saying, no, this Charlottesville's for everybody. Please don't come here and chant Jews won't replace us, right? And then what happened? Donald Trump said they were very fine people. So miss me with all of this violent rhetoric that's coming from the left that we need to tamp down. And I'm sorry, that includes Joe effing Biden, okay? I'm so sick of this idea that like, okay, well, the left is, Democrats really need to tamp down the rhetoric. Have you not been paying attention? Number one, political violence has existed in this country since its foundation. Hello, slavery, okay? Hello, colonialism. Also, there have been many assassination attempts on many different presidents. Was that right? No. But it's not the first time that this happened. Also, gun ownership is through the roof, and you haven't done much to rein that in. So stop it with this idea that somehow there's an equivalence, that the left, the Democrats are doing the same exact thing. They are not. They did not wear khakis and hold tiki torches and say Jews will not replace us and threaten an entire town as different various factions of uneffable little boys came together to say, yay, the white race, okay? We didn't do a fraction of that. And if we did, we would be dead.
100%, yeah. And in terms of the actual polling, like you would think if you ask someone flat out, is political violence acceptable? Most would say no, and most do say no, but they don't say no at the same rate. 20% of American adults feel like violence might be acceptable to get the country back on track. That should be a national conversation we have every day, that number is so high. But when you break it down by party, 12% of Democrats, 28% of Republicans. I mean, I didn't tell them to say that to the pollster. They said that to the pollster. And then let's also focus on this. There have been other high-profile assassination attempts in America that thankfully also in those cases did not succeed. We all remember, of course, back in 2022, a madman broke into Nancy Pelosi's house and tried to question her and probably likely kill her. And she wasn't there, so he wasn't able to do that. But he did hospitalize Paul Pelosi, a guy who has still not fully recovered from the injuries that he sustained. And in the wake of that, utterly unacceptable. Like, that is a horror. Somebody breaks into the house of a prominent politician to try to kidnap and potentially murder them, torture them until they say what he wants them to say, became an instantaneous and lingering joke, a meme. Not for everyone, but for some people on the right. And Donald Trump himself, who has now, again, been the target of political violence, said at a rally once, "We'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job." You see, because it's funny, because his skull was cracked open with a hammer and he nearly died and he'll never recover. And she's lost some portion of her husband physically for the rest of her life. And that was a joke in the immediate aftermath of it. His son went farther. Don Jr. spent a couple of months posting jokes and memes about it. He's gonna dress up like the guy who tried to murder Nancy Pelosi because it was funny. And I said lingering because Rachel Campos Duffy of Fox News said at one point when someone said that Paul Pelosi might be up for like the Medal of Honor or something, she said, well, maybe Paul Pelosi needs the hammer instead of the medal, which I don't even know what the joke is supposed to be there, except that she thinks it's a joke. That was May of this year. The attack was over a year and a half ago, and they're still joking about it. That was an attempted assassination, not like a comment online or something. They hospitalized the husband of one of the most prominent Democrats in the country, and they still joke about it to this day. If anybody jokes in that way about Donald Trump, they will rightly be condemned. And if, oh my God, can you imagine like Anderson Cooper or something, some equivalent to Rachel Campos Duffy, or Hunter Biden posts something like that, they will be condemned and they should be condemned, but they're not gonna post anything like that. But that stuff has happened and it wasn't that long ago. Francesca, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it reminds me of the horrible crime that Democrats committed against Sarah Huckabee Sanders when they made a joke about her eyeshadow, and we had to talk about it for weeks on end. And that, I think, is the same thing as celebrating violence, because it's gender-based makeup criticism violence. There's no equivalence. There's no equivalence. And the last thing I'm gonna say is the following, John. I don't think the Democrats take political violence seriously enough. I don't think that when a guy enters Nancy Pelosi's house and attacks her husband with a hammer, that there was an appropriate response. How much more security are Congress people receiving because of all the threats? We also know that guy mailed a bunch of like death threats, and even what was it, attempted like anthrax or something?
You're talking about Cesar Sayoc?
Cesar Sayoc, right?
Pipe bombs, yeah.
He sent pipe bombs, thank you, to Democratic Congresspeople, and yet new Congress members like Cori Bush, who had to hire a family member to do her security, AOC, have all said, we don't have enough security to do our jobs. Political violence is awful, but political violence is here. So what do we do if you're like me, and I think you, John, where we don't want any more political violence, then we need to keep people safe. And how do you do that? You have to take guns out of the hands of people, you have to beef up security, and you have to do a few goddamn background checks on, domestic abusers that, they're trying to undo all of the protections when it comes to, people who are on the receiving end of that, So it's just like, there are ways to de-escalate the violence. But the idea that political violence has no place in American politics is as naive as saying money has no place in American politics. Yeah. It's already here. How do we put the genie back in the bottle?
Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.